to recommend something to our stuffies out there. Christina.
For the love of all good things.
What do you recommend to our stuffies? Welcome to Stuff That We Like / Enjoy. At least at this point in time, I'm Caleb.
And I'm Christina.
And today, we're doing a little flashback to how we used to do this podcast. We're just doing two topics that we chose that we're interested in. Taking a break from the Book of Enoch. We've been traveling a ton.
Yes, just got back from our third trip in a 4-week time span.
Yeah, and we can say that now because one of those trips was to surprise a friend who listens to the podcast, so we couldn't say anything online about it, but that's why we had a minute-so. That's why we had another episode that was kind of just a topic.
The listener question episode. Because we had to film it real quick and then drive up to Michigan 14 hours for this surprise.
For another shoot and a surprise. And so a bunch of crazy stuff. But we're finally home after a shoot.
We just got back 2 hours ago from another trip out of town. So we'll be resuming our Enoch episodes next week. So we look forward to getting back to that. But we still wanted to give you guys an episode today. So we scrounged up our interests. Yeah. And here we are.
Scrounging our interests.
Yeah. So Caleb, would you like to begin by telling me what is something that you like / enjoy, at least this point in time?
Sure. Right after you tell me your contentment level today.
Oh, contentment? Oh, I'm pretty good. I would say currently a 7, but I'm anticipating an 8 pretty soon.
Good for you.
I'm really hungry, but I just ate a banana. So I'm expecting those calories to kick in pretty soon.
That's awesome. I love that you're expected to be better.
Yes.
And that's not my viewpoint on life at all, but I love that. So 7.
It's only getting worse.
Yeah.
This is the best it'll ever get.
7 going to an 8. You hope?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. What about you?
I am a 7. Yeah. Feels good.
That's like the highest you've ever been.
I know today's been a good day. I think my perspective has been better recently on life. And plus we just got a bunch of these jobs out of the way, a bunch of the traveling out of the way. So we're settling into a routine.
Yep. You start a new job tomorrow.
Yep, exactly. And so it's going to feel good to finally come home and be like, oh my God, I don't have to plan a trip.
Yeah.
After work, or I can just sit here and relax for a minute.
Exactly. Don't have to be in Iowa filming a wedding for hours. Yeah.
Totally. So that's why I'm a 7.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Well, now I'm going to ask you, what is something that you like or enjoy, at least at this point in time?
Okay. So something I like / enjoy, and I'm sure you've heard of this and you're very familiar with it. So just bear with me in my ignorance.
Okay.
My topic is the 1972 Bloody Sunday Massacre.
Oh my gosh.
I know, your favorite.
How completely random. Why? I never expected this of you. Are you me? Did we trade places?
Do you know what it is?
Once you start talking about it, I will.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you right now.
Yeah, I was mostly joking about you knowing what it was about. So you don't have no pressure to know what it's about.
I've heard of Bloody Sunday.
Yeah.
The massacre, but I couldn't tell you if it was Christians, the Jews, Africa, Europe. Yeah.
You just know it was on Sunday.
Yes.
And it was bloody.
So probably it wasn't Jewish then. It was probably Christian or Catholic.
You're very, wow. Very close, but for no reason that you just named.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Well, tell me about the Bloody Sunday Massacre of what, 1970
It would be my pleasure. So, the Bloody Sunday Massacre in 1972 is one of the most infamous and tragic days in Northern Ireland's history.
Okay, Ireland.
Northern Ireland. On January 30th, 1972, in the city of Derry, also known as Londonderry, British soldiers shot 26 unarmed civilians during a peaceful protest march against internment without trial. So
being imprisoned without trial?
Yes.
Okay.
And
so
I'll
this
explain
wasn't
a little
religious.
bit about that. We'll actually get into that a little bit, which is interesting. So 14 people died, and many of them were actually young men. Wow. They're all unarmed, and 26 were, injured in the process. 14 of those died, though.
Wow.
So a little bit more about the history of this topic. To understand Bloody Sunday, we need to look at the Troubles.
Okay.
Okay, it's a decades-long conflict in Northern Ireland from the late 1960s to 1998 involving political and sectarian divisions between mainly Protestant Unionists / loyalists, yes, who wanted Northern Ireland to remain part of the United Kingdom, and the mainly Catholic nationalists / Republicans who wanted Northern Ireland to join the Republic of Ireland.
Okay.
So just to clarify again, there were on one side Protestant Unionists / loyalists, and on the other side there were Catholic nationalists / Republicans. Okay, so the Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s, inspired by the U.S. Civil Rights Movement, Northern Ireland's Catholic minority began peaceful protests demanding equal rights in voting, housing, and employment. So this is the Catholics in 1960 demanding equal rights in voting, housing, and employment.
So there must have been some discrimination against the Catholics then?
Yes.
Okay.
There was discrimination against the Catholics. And I have here a little bit about that. So the partition of Ireland in 1921, Ireland gained independence from Britain. So Northern Ireland, mainly Protestant, remained part of the UK. Catholics there became a marginalized minority, facing systematic discrimination in housing, jobs, and voting rights. So the Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s, inspired by the U.S. Civil Rights Movement, like I said, is where Catholics began peaceful protests demanding equal rights. The Northern Ireland Civil Rights Association, so the NICRA, was at the forefront of this, organizing marches and sit-ins. So the Unionist response to this was that many Protestants and Unionists viewed the Civil Rights Movement as a cover for Irish nationalism and feared it would threaten Northern Ireland's status as part of the UK.
So they wanted to stay in the UK.
Yes.
And the Catholic Irish wanted to leave and become part of broader Ireland.
Correct.
I always wondered why Northern Ireland was a part of the UK. And Ireland wasn't.
Yeah. Seems the Protestants really fought for it.
Yeah.
They wanted that. Okay, so that happened in the 1960s. They began peaceful protests and in 1971 began internment without trial. So in August 1971, the British government introduced a policy allowing authorities to arrest and detain people suspected of paramilitary involvement without trial. So if you were suspected to be part of the paramilitary involvement, you could be taken into custody without trial.
Okay, so suspected of like kind of being against the government.
Yes, basically. This angered the Catholic nationalist community and led to increased peaceful protests. So still peaceful, just still protesting. And then on January 30th of 1972, thousands joined a peaceful march in Derry to protest internment.
Okay.
The British Army's parachute regiment was deployed to maintain order. Tensions escalated and soldiers opened fire on unarmed civilians. Many victims were shot in the back or while trying to help the wounded. So a couple facts about the topic. The number of victims, like I said, was 26 people shot, 14 killed. So 13 of those died on the day and one later from injury.
Wow.
They were all unarmed. So none of the victims were armed. Some were teenagers, like I said. There was a huge global impact from this. So Bloody Sunday was broadcast worldwide, fueling outrage and increasing recruitment for, this is really interesting, the IRA, the Irish Republican Army. So crazy.
Interesting.
And I've only heard of that.
Yeah.
I'm not a history buff.
Yeah.
I've only heard of that because of Peaky Blinders, the show.
I'd watched a documentary about a month ago talking about people joining the IRA, and there was a mention of, I believe, Bloody Sunday. So there was that connection there.
I knew you would know what it was.
There we go.
I knew it.
Just a little bit. Well, I'm sure the Catholic Church, it probably felt like a direct attack on the Catholic Church as well, which is like the broadest denomination of Christianity in the world. So I'm sure that there was lots of uproar as a result of that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This ensued the legal battles.
Okay.
That continued until 2010. So for decades, victims' families campaigned for justice. The 2010 Seville, I don't know how to say that, Seville inquiry concluded the killings were, quote, unjustified and unjustifiable, leading to a formal apology by the British Prime Minister David Cameron. So sorry we killed you guys.
Yeah. He probably wasn't even prime minister at the time.
Exactly. So, of course, this event, it deepened the mistrust between the Catholic community and the British authorities, and this prolonged the, quote, troubles time for decades more. So it's just a really interesting kind of massacre that I heard of in passing.
Yeah.
I think it was on a podcast too. Or maybe it was through a news outlet. It was just like recapping the 2010 apologies for the Bloody Sunday Massacre.
Wow.
And I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
And so looking into it is so interesting to see that there was a Catholic side and a Protestant side. And it wasn't necessarily that they were, different religions. It was that they were different political parties.
Yes.
Hidden
it became
underneath
politicized
religions.
within the religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did know that Ireland is largely Catholic, where obviously England, the British Empire, is Protestant. So that's interesting how, when religion becomes politicized.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Huh.
Oh. So, I mean, that's basically all I have.
Wow, what was your takeaway from
I mean, my
this?
takeaway was that a lot of the time, or not a lot of the time, but just like I was describing, we hide behind our religious affiliation rather than just saying, I align myself as a Republican or a Democrat.
Right.
And this is just such an interesting instance of that. I for sure would have just stood up and been like, hey, I just want to be able to vote.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to vote because they were Catholic. Yeah, how interesting.
Yeah, exactly. It's so I thought that was really just interesting to see.
Fascinating.
And it's a crazy time in history that I was not aware of.
Yeah, me either. Well, it's amazing how much, history at large we don't know. We mainly in school study American history and then world history in terms of like big empires or big wars, where this was just, a one day kind of situation. But there is so much to learn. It'd be interesting to see or look into what was the spillover, the effect of that for beyond what you mentioned for the Protestant church or the Catholic church or Ireland as a whole.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like the actual organizations that are trying to care about people.
Yeah.
Not necessarily caring about where Ireland's going to end up, but just trying to like be the hands and feet of Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like, what was the actual impact on those people because of what was happening politically? Super crazy.
And how much it maybe drove increased hate from Catholics towards Protestants or towards the British Empire, things like that.
Totally. Yeah.
Wow.
So really cool, but not as lighthearted as our topics typically are, but something that just fascinated me.
Yeah, I love that. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing.
Next, Christina's going to tell us about a topic that she likes / enjoys. So Christina, what's something you like / enjoy, at least at this point in time?
I like / enjoy the question of, is the rapture happening this week?
Let's go.
First off, what do you think the rapture is? Or what would you say the rapture is?
The rapture is when Jesus comes back at the end of time and calls his people up to be with him. I believe in Revelation it says we'll see him coming on the clouds before we're actually raptured.
Okay.
I think.
Nice.
That's what I think.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to read a definition of what the rapture is and then kind of get into a little bit of the biblical basis for the rapture and then back to my question of, is the rapture happening this week?
Cool.
So what is the rapture? The rapture is a theological concept in Christian end times teachings, referring to an event where believers in Jesus Christ, both living and dead, are suddenly caught up or taken to heaven by God, sparing them from a 7-year period of great tribulation and judgment on the earth. So it's pretty much the belief that Jesus returns to earth kind of briefly and sucks up all the believers who are alive and those dead in their graves up to heaven. And then there's 7 years of great wrath and tribulation on the earth to punish the unbelievers before the final end of the age. It is often depicted as a dramatic, instantaneous occurrence, like snap of a finger, bam, all the Christians on earth suddenly gone to heaven. And it is tied to prophecies about the return of Jesus. And the idea isn't universal among Christians. It is most prominent in denominations such as Baptist, Pentecostal, and some non-denominational churches. So not all Christian traditions teach in that, like the Catholic Church does not believe in that at all. But Baptists and Pentecostals largely do. So a little bit of what you said was, kind of correct with the concept of, Jesus returning. But that the believers get brought up to heaven in a second. So what is the biblical basis for the rapture, you might ask?
Yes.
So the term rapture or the rapture actually doesn't appear anywhere in the Bible, but the phrase is derived from a Latin word, which is rapio, which means to snatch away. So they took the Latin word rapio, snatch away, and turned it into rapture. There are 2 primary verses that those who believe in the rapture before 7 years of tribulation use as defense for their beliefs. And that is 1 Thessalonians 4, 16 through 17. For the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a loud shout, with the voice of an angel, and with the trumpet call of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. And after that, we who are still alive will be caught up together with the dead in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So kind of this idea of being caught up together relating to the Latin word snatch away.
Rapio?
Rapio. Yeah, R-A-P-I-O.
Okay.
And then the second verse that rapture teachers use is 1 Corinthians 15, verses 51 through 52. Listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, meaning die, but we will all be changed in a flash, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed. So again, though, we will be changed in a flash kind of idea, pairing with the 1 Thessalonian idea of being caught up together. So while it doesn't say anything about the rapture explicitly, people take the phrase being caught up or changed in a flash to create a teaching for all believers being raptured up to heaven. The fact that the term the rapture isn't found in the Bible was really surprising to me when I first discovered it about 12 or 13 years ago. I grew up in a home that, although we didn't teach on the rapture, I loved the Left Behind books, which were a very popular book series that came out in the 1990s into early 2000s. There was also a kid series, and it detailed what would happen on earth after the rapture. So it starts with all Christians are taken away to heaven, and then we got 10 thick books on what happens afterwards. So then I got to Bible school, and the Bible school I went to did not teach on the rapture being something that happened before the 7 years of tribulation. And I was like, what? You mean that's not in the Bible explicitly?
Yeah.
I can see obviously where people get that idea. And my goal is not to debate whether the rapture will happen or not. Many Christians who do not believe in believers being raptured prior to the tribulation do still believe that we will all be caught up to heaven with God.
Yeah.
So those verses still, they believe to be accurate, just being at the end of the age, not before 7 years of tribulation, which is a pretty key Christian teaching. So there's that. And it's interesting because the teaching on the rapture is a relatively modern concept in Christian theology. So teachings on the resurrection or Jesus' second coming have been taught since the beginning of the Christian church 2,000 plus years ago. But the concept of the rapture and its teachings can be dated back to about the 1830s. So a relatively new teaching in the last 200 years. And the first documented and verified teacher of the rapture was John Nelson Darby. And so he was a teacher who kind of started teaching on that concept. And it became more widely taught with the publication of the Scofield Bible. So the Scofield Bible was a Bible translation that was published in, I believe, 1907 that had footnotes in it, which interpreted certain Bible verses as proof of a pre-tribulation rapture. And this translation of the Bible sold millions of copies across the world and became the standard Bible in many biblical seminaries, which then produced pastors who taught this belief of the rapture to their congregation. So it really only kind of has been about a 100-year-old primary teaching in the church.
Crazy.
Yeah. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. I didn't know that it was as new of a concept as that. So now to the fun question that inspired this topic. Is the rapture happening this week? So there is a man on the internet who has gained quite a bit of following in the last couple months for his teachings on YouTube that the rapture is going to happen this very week.
What's his name?
His name is Joshua Mhlakela. He's from South Africa, and he used to be a pastor, but he stopped pastoring to, quote, work on himself. So it is unsure if he got kicked out of the church that he was a pastor of, usually pastors don't just quit to work on themselves.
Yeah, totally.
So I don't know much more about him.
I cheated on my wife, which means I needed to work on myself.
So either on September 23rd or 24th of this year, so that's Wednesday or Thursday. Let me double check. Yep, Wednesday or Thursday. Joshua, who is from South Africa, claims Jesus appeared to him in a vision, revealing to him that the rapture will happen either this Wednesday or Thursday during the Jewish Feast of Trumpets.
Whoa.
There's also another Bible prophecy teacher. He's not a pastor from what I've found, but a prophecy teacher called Tim Henderson, who has also been putting out a lot of YouTube videos online claiming that the rapture will also occur either this Wednesday or Thursday during the Jewish Feast of Trumpets. So, yeah, as I mentioned, it's gotten quite a bit of following. There are people that are really supporting this. They've sold their houses. They're preaching in the streets, telling people, repent, Jesus is coming back on Wednesday.
That sucks.
And so that gets on to my next question of, can we predict the rapture?
No, because only Jesus knows the day and the time.
Ooh, interesting. You mentioned that.
God does.
Yes.
Jesus doesn't even know.
Jesus doesn't even know. So in Matthew 24:36, Jesus himself says to his disciples, speaking of the end times, and again, he's not speaking explicitly of the rapture because that is not a phrase found in the Bible, but he is speaking of the end times, his return, the great judgment on the earth. And he says, but of that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but only my Father, implying that even he doesn't know. So this would imply that no one can know the day of Christ's return, or in turn, know the day that the rapture is going to happen. Jesus is saying here in this verse in Matthew 24 that even he doesn't know, which can get into a whole other debate of like how Jesus is God, how can he not know, but whatever. Anyways, this verse alone, spoken by Jesus, immediately kills any biblical precedence for predicting the rapture.
Yes.
If only God knows the day and the hour of his return, then we can't know. Joshua Mhlakela claims that Jesus appeared to him and told him when the rapture would happen. Oof. So this doesn't work because
he should have said the Father appeared to me.
As stated by Jesus himself, he doesn't know the day or the hour.
Big oof.
Yeah. And prophecy teacher Tim Henderson's predictions also fall apart, but he claims that his predictions are accurate because both him and this Joshua guy are predicting the rapture will happen on either Wednesday or Thursday. Therefore, they don't know the exact day or the hour. It's like,
But we've narrowed it down.
One of the two.
Yeah. That's so dumb.
So first off, like there's just no biblical precedence
No, not at all.
for predicting the rapture. And it can become dangerous. And I want to talk about some problems with predicting the rapture. As I mentioned before, these people that are believing what Joshua and Tim are saying about Jesus coming back on either Wednesday or Thursday have quit their jobs, sold their houses, are preaching in the streets to all their neighbors, repent, Jesus is coming back on either Wednesday or Thursday. Can't know the day or the hour. And this can have a great negative effect. First off, on people who truly believe that Jesus is coming back on Wednesday or Thursday, when he doesn't. That can cause great disappointment. It can cause people to leave the church, to not believe in God anymore. And it can also greatly affect the people that they are preaching to. If you're somebody who doesn't really believe in God, maybe you kind of do, and you have your neighbor come and tell you, Jesus is coming back Wednesday, and then he doesn't, that really could, that would make me not want to believe in that religion or that truth ever again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So rapture predictions have been going on for about the last 80 years. As I mentioned, the teaching of the rapture has only really picked up steam in the last 100. And there's probably like 10 rapture predictions I could go over, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to go over 3 primary ones and kind of talk about how it has negatively impacted people and all of that. Mm-hmm. So the first well-known rapture prediction is what is now known as the Great Disappointment. William Miller, a Baptist farmer, calculated Christ's return as being on October 22nd of 1844.
Okay.
His teachings attracted in between 50 to 100,000 followers via lectures and newspaper ads that he taught. We didn't have the internet back then, so it was through speeches he gave and then stuff that he put in newspapers. As I mentioned, he attracted nearly 100,000 followers. His followers sold their houses, quit their jobs, left their fields to rot. Many of them were farmers. And on October 22nd, many of them either gathered in churches, in homes, or on hilltops to wait to be raptured.
Wow.
They were up there on the 21st at midnight and stood up there all night and were still there the next morning. So no rapture obviously occurred. And this led to widespread despair, and even with some of his followers ending their own lives.
Oh, dang.
And, they sold their houses, lost their livelihoods, etc. They even would, from the money they sold, they paid to have, tracts and, newspaper ads printed for people, what to do after the rapture or the rapture's happening. So that's why it's called the Great Disappointment. The next really well-known one was in 2011. It was Harold Camping, and I remember this one. It was predicted by Harold Camping, a former civil engineer who then had a Christian-based radio program. And he used numerology to dictate that on May 21st of 2011, it would be exactly 7,000 years from Noah's flood. And for some reason, that equated to the day Jesus came back. I don't know, 7 was a special number or something. He spent over $100 million of his donors' money to his radio station on billboards, which said Judgment Day, May 21st, 2011. And I remember these, in my hometown,
really?
People having them in their, their front lawn, little signs about the rapture. He predicted massive earthquakes around the world and that about 200 million believers would be raptured, followed by 5 months of hell on earth.
Why 5 months?
I don't know. It doesn't really line up with any teachings in the Bible, whether you believe in rapture before or ever.
It's not like he made that up.
Yeah, right.
That last part.
He amassed a global audience of 200,000 core believers that were really tracking with him.
Dang.
He urged them to quit their jobs, sell all their possessions, and to spread the word via billboards and then caravans across the country preaching about Jesus coming back on May 21st. The day happened. The rapture didn't happen. And so Harold said, actually, it was a spiritual rapture. And the real rapture is going to happen on October 21st. I just was off by 5 months.
He said he set a new date?
Yes.
Oh
Because he was really set on the
God.
21st thing. But he's like, I was off by like 5 months.
Dude.
I think it was the whole 5 months of hell on earth. Okay, it's after that.
Yeah.
Well, he died about 2 years later in the midst of many lawsuits. His donors sued him because he spent $100 million of their money.
Of course, yeah.
And then also people sued him for like, they sold their house and things
Yeah.
like that. I don't think anything really came of the lawsuits because like he died and
For sure.
I guess it was discretionary spending. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last kind of one of recent years, other than the one that's supposed to happen in 2 days, was the 2015 blood moon rapture predictions. So the 2015 rapture predictions were supposed to be the climactic end of there being 4 blood moons that happened in about an 18-month period, all on Jewish feast days, which might sound kind of wild, but Jewish feast days follow a lunar calendar. So they're always on full moons
Gotcha.
by and large. But they tie this in that there was going to be blood moons, which is like lunar eclipses, and that this was a fulfillment of a verse in Joel 2:31, which says that in the end times, the moon will be turned to blood. So they're like, there's 4 blood moons in 18 months. And the last one was on September 28th, 2015. And John Hagee and many other leaders claimed that these blood moons were a sign of the end times, with some going as far to say, like, the rapture is happening. And if the rapture isn't happening, it is the beginning of 7 years of tribulation.
Okay. I can get behind that more than the rapture happening.
Exactly. Yeah. So John Hagee was more specifically, because of the whole day and the hour thing, he believed we can't know the exact date. He was kind of like, this is the beginning of the end situation. Right. So he wrote a book called The 4 Blood Moons, which sold over 1 million copies. And he had a film and TV special made by the same name, which aired to like over 20 million people. And a lot of people bought it too.
Wow.
And the final of the 4 eclipses happened on September 28th, but there was no rapture. Yeah. And this one also impacted me personally, because during that time of the fall of 2015, I was a part of a small group through the college I went to, where the lovely leaders, they were actually friends, parents of one of my friends, were really into this whole blood moon thing. And they had us watch the videos. And we're going to have us read the book. I only stuck around for the first one. They were also very into following the Jewish feasts, even as a Christian. So it was all very connected to them.
Yeah.
And they wanted to take us to a gun range to learn how to shoot. They were going to teach us how to stockpile 3 months of food. And they believed it was the beginning of the 7 years of tribulation. So they weren't teaching that the rapture was going to happen, but that like...
It's
the
going
last
down.
blood moon. They told us to have our family come into town because Kansas City was supposed to be protected or something. And after sitting through that for about 2 hours, and they're like, this is what we're going to focus on this whole next semester, I kindly emailed them when I got home and said that I am living as if I will still be here in a couple decades.
In 2022.
Yes. Therefore, I don't want to pretend for a semester that I think that...
Yeah.
You know,
honestly,
the blood moon's going to make something happen.
Honestly, though, I would have stuck around just for the gun training and like the stockpiling stuff, just because I like that. Mm-hmm. You know, it's practical stuff, but wacky people.
Yes. Yeah. So there's, like I said, there's many more false rapture predictions I could discuss. Like there was a book published, like 88 Reasons Why Jesus Will Return in 1988. And then he didn't come. And so the guy wrote a book, 89 Reasons Why Jesus Will Return in 1889.
Are you kidding me?
It's wild. And it really has impacted many people. Like I mentioned, people have left the faith, left going to church. And
absolutely.
Has led hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of non-Christians to be evangelized to, with the main message of the rapture is happening on a specific date.
That's the most dangerous part about this whole thing, is that the message of Jesus is preached with the premise being, hey, get out of hell.
Yes.
Like get out of hell free card, instead of there's a God out there that loves you and cares for you and wants the best for you, wants to be your father. And anybody who has their foundation of their faith be, I want to not go to hell, or I want to be caught up and have this tribulation pass me over so I don't have to suffer. I think this is not the right reason to become a Christian. God can use that, and that can turn into the right reason. I feel like that's part of my story. But ultimately, it's so unhelpful to have somebody become a Christian out of fear rather than out of an understanding of what Jesus did for them on the cross. And
the message isn't about Jesus' sacrifice. It's like, he's coming. You're going to get left behind. So you got to make it happen.
Yeah.
Growing up, like I mentioned, like I definitely was hardcore into believing in the rapture. Today, I'm very open-handed. Like, I think it would be amazing as believers if we got raptured before 7 years of tribulation, which even talking about sounds wild. Like, I actually believe the Bible that talks about like a literal judgment on the earth. Like, and some pretty crazy stuff, whereas many Christian denominations just believe it's all figurative. So I think either way, I mean, that'd be awesome if we get raptured. If not, we're going to be with Jesus either way.
Yeah.
But growing up, it was a bit of a fear of mine getting raptured because I really wanted to live life.
Yeah.
And I didn't have an understanding that like eternity with God is going to be far better
than
here on earth.
Yeah.
And so I knew that it said nobody knows the day or the hour. So whenever I think about eternity or getting raptured, I would think about it, because then God couldn't rapture now because I was thinking of the day and the hour and he couldn't do it. So I was going to outsmart God.
You played the system.
Yeah.
Look at you.
In my, 12-year-old brain, it really worked. My brother one time, my parents were, I think they ran out to the store or whatever, and he went to our living room and dropped a pile of clothes in the middle and then hid. And I walked into the living room and just saw his clothes laying there. And I thought that everybody had been raptured and I was left behind, and I was quite distraught. But I wasn't. So he was just hiding in his underwear somewhere. But yeah.
Really, the joke's on him because he has to come out in his underwear, pick up his clothes.
Yeah. So kind of to sum it up, no, the rapture is not happening this week. And I could get into some more theological discussions on certain things that even if you do believe in the rapture before the tribulation, that need to happen before that's even going to happen. So I think that people like Joshua Mhlakela and Tim Henderson are actually doing a great disservice to the body of Christ. And it'll be really interesting on Friday to hear what they have to say when we're all still here. They're
cult leaders.
Yeah, in a sense.
Well, one of the things we learned about cults is that they use the future, like an escape hatch from suffering in the future, as a draw to whatever thing that they want you to get involved in. An
element of fear behind it.
Yeah, a huge element of fear behind it. And this is just using an element of fear. And I'm sure that they're profiting somehow.
I mean, people are at least watching their YouTube channels.
Yeah, whether that's by YouTube or whether that's by people paying them, or whether that's just them feeling better about themselves because they think they're doing a service and that's feeding their ego or whatever. This is a classic sign of a cult, or what is a very dangerous leader of somebody who you think of an organization you think is trying to do well.
Who's left pastoring to work on themselves.
Yeah, like what is that in the first place? That is such garbage. But it makes me so, like, this is one thing that actually does get me riled up, is that people sell their houses. People leave their jobs, cut ties with family members. Like, no wonder there were suicides after a couple of these instances where the rapture didn't happen, is because people are sold out. Like they sold everything, and then they're embarrassed to go back to their life and be like, well, I'm still living next to my neighbor who I told I was going to be gone. And now I don't have a job and I have a family to support, and I'm embarrassed, and my whole livelihood is taken from me because of this one person I believed in. That kind of stuff really like just makes me so angry at the leaders who can look people in the eye and tell them like, this is the day that the Lord's coming.
Yes.
When it clearly says in the Bible We have no idea.
Yes.
Not even Jesus knows.
Yeah.
And yet, for some reason, we have the right to tell people, sell it all.
It's going to be on
Get rid of
Wednesday.
it. Yeah, it's on Wednesday. By the way, worst day of the week. Should have just picked Friday or Saturday.
But it has to line up with the Feast of
I
Trumpets.
know. I know.
Jesus came and told him, allegedly. So
I know.
I don't know who was talking to him, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't Jesus.
Great topic, though.
Thank you.
Loved it.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to do it. In light of these predictions for happening either Wednesday or Thursday, leaving it open.
Wednesday or Thursday. I'll recant everything I just said if it happens on Wednesday or Thursday.
Well, we won't be here.
You know what? If I'm this angry at this guy for saying this,
believe.
I know
be
I might
behind.
not be a believer.
Yeah.
I at least don't believe in him.
Exactly.
I don't believe in him at all.
My uncle used to joke because growing up, we went to a church that had services on Sunday and Saturday night, and we'd go on Saturday night. So he would always tell us that we were going to get raptured last because we were Saturday night Christians, and like you should go to church on Sundays, which kind of scared me. I was like, oh no.
Absolutely. That stuff as a kid.
Yeah.
That'll scar you for sure.
All right. Well, do you have any myths related to your topic?
Yeah, it's a myth I kind of talked about at the end of my topic, but the myth is that the troubles from the 1972 Bloody Sunday Massacres seemed like it was like a religious conflict, when in reality, like we talked about, it wasn't Protestants versus Catholic. That's really oversimplistic. The conflict was mainly political or cultural at its core. So busting the myth that it was about Catholics and Protestants at all, it wasn't. It was political and cultural.
Okay. Huh. Great. So you might say that myth
busted. All right. And lastly, on this podcast, we like to recommend.
I want to do my myth too.
Oh, I forgot you had a myth. Okay. What's the myth related to your topic?
Okay, so the myth is that many different religions have the idea or teaching on the rapture. And this is false. Only some Christian denominations teach on the idea of the rapture in terms of believers in their God being brought up to heaven before a judgment day. Many religions teach on the idea of a judgment day, but none of them talk about the rapture. And as I mentioned before, the concept and teaching of the rapture is relatively new in the last 150 to 200 years. So I found that fascinating that no other religions kind of teaching that concept.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
It's also crazy to think that other religions have like a revelation.
Like an end time
like
judgment.
an end time judgment thing. I wonder how many religions have that.
Yeah. I mean, I know that Islam does.
Does
and
it?
Then Judaism in a sense, but of course they don't hold to any of the teachings of the second half of the Bible, only the Old Testament. It would be interesting to look into more. I would love to do just a more in-depth on end times beliefs among the main religions.
For sure. Because a lot of religions are focused on like, let's get good now.
Yes.
Let's be good people now. And it's like, unto what?
Right.
Unto the world lasting forever, or unto...
Yeah, like I think it's either is Hinduism the concept of nirvana, or is that Buddhism?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like reincarnation. You achieve the final state of bliss, and that's where it all ends to.
Bliss?
Yeah.
Man. But bliss would get old, like we saw in The Good Place.
Yeah.
It's like bliss has to continue increasing in order for it to be interesting.
Right.
So it'd be like today's level 1 of bliss, and then tomorrow level 6. You know what I'm talking
How many
about?
levels are there?
Exactly. It's got to run out at some point. Anyways, great myth. So myth busted. Lastly, on this podcast, we like to recommend something to our stuffies out there. Christina.
For the love of all good things.
What do you recommend to our stuffies? You say for the love of God.
No, I said of all good things. Ow. I just flicked my nose. I would like to recommend, within your best capacity, when you get home from a trip, unpacking and putting things away, like immediately. As I mentioned, we've gone on 3 like trips / vacations / work trips in the last month. And after our last one, or 2 times ago, it took me like 2 days to finally get everything put away and sorted. And then we left the next day again for the next work trip. And so, like walk in the door, put the dishes in the dishwasher, put the laundry in the laundry machine, put the stuff away, and like it'll help you kind of get back on track and back into your normal work mode.
Totally.
Yeah.
My recommend would be to pack popcorn as a road trip snack. Christina's been doing that, and it is awesome.
Yes.
Usually I have popcorn at night, like watching a movie or something like that, but have it during the day, like you're just kind of driving, you'll snackish, just reach in that Tupperware, boom, bam.
Yeah.
You got some crunchy snack. Shoo, girl.
That's a great recommend.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to do something different this week. I'm going to have you, from memory, just name everything we do at the end of the podcast as far as plugs.
Okay.
So go for it.
Well, thank you for listening to this podcast. We'd like to tell you about some other things we do. I have an Instagram page.
Yeah.
Called See Joyfully.
Yeah.
If you'd like to follow me there, I post about twice a year.
It's good, though.
And then share from our other Instagram page, which is for the podcast, which is called Stuff That We Like Podcast. So please follow us there. We give updates on the episodes and there's some fun short reels and behind the scenes. Caleb also has a Instagram page called Caleb C Media, where you can also email him at calebmcastaneda@gmail.com. He does videography, photography, and also writes music, which you can find on Spotify under Caleb Castaneda. Caleb has also started a business in the last year called Mood Wave Media, which does film coverage and social media posting for churches and nonprofits in the Kansas City area and broader regions. So you can follow them on Instagram under Mood Wave Media, Facebook, etc., and email them at moodwavemedia@gmail.com. And I think that's all that we do at the moment.
That was really good.
Thank you.
That was crazy good. Why am I doing the plugs at the end? Like, you didn't even have to read anything off. That was so awesome.
Thank you.
Nicely done. You missed one, though.
Was it the newsletter?
Yes.
Okay. We also have a newsletter, which we do bi-weekly, except for last week when we did none weekly. And it is called All This Stuff, where it's like, where it's a little recap of our podcast, things we're interested in, recipes, drinks we're trying, places we've traveled to, music we've written, books we're reading. It's called All This Stuff, and you can subscribe to that by emailing us at stuffthatwelikepodcast@gmail.com. There's also links on our Instagram page. Yeah.
For sure. And that's it for this week, folks.
Great.
So,
Well, next week we'll be resuming the Enoch episodes with Forbidden Books of the Bible. So catch up on those if you haven't yet. And we'll continue diving into the book of parables, parable number 2.
Absolutely. And I do want to plug a friend of mine who we shot a video for this last week. It's Nathan Yake. He runs Insight Music in Michigan. But if you want to get in contact with him, you can shoot an email to us and we'll get you plugged in over there. He's awesome at producing music. He's put out some really big stuff, and he's coming out with some good stuff this year as well. We've written some music, me and him, and we're still working on it, but hopefully that'll be out this year or next year. He's just a great guy and really amazing
Very talented.
music. Yeah, just super talented music producer. So contact us at stuffthatwelikepodcast@gmail.com if you want to get connected with him. And that is it for today.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on Stuff That We Like /enjoy, at least this point in time. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.